My gaze followed him on its own. God, those legs unreal. While I was staring, a frosty voice sounded beside my ear. Enjoying the view? I almost fell off my chair. Julian had appeared behind me, his face thunderdark. I stammered. He leaned down, lips almost grazing my ear. Does he look better, or do I? His breath brushed my skin, sending tingles everywhere. My heart hammered. I didn't dare lift my head. What was wrong with him? Flirting out of nowhere? Julian straightened, expression blank, and picked up my bag. Let's go. Lunch. I trailed after him like a guilty puppy. At the door we met. The glasses hung head-on. Julian slid an arm around my waist and pulled me flush to his side. Julian, I squeaked. He ignored me, tightened his grip, and marched us out of the cafe. What are you doing? I demanded once we were in the car. Julian clicked his seatbelt, then looked at me, gaze dangerous. Don't look at other men again. Why not? I shot back without thinking. His knuckles whitened on the steering wheel for a second. He didn't speak, just turned those eyes on me, storm cloud dark. Emotions I couldn't read churning under the surface like a sea before a typhoon. No. His voice was lower than usual, final and absolute. Only 2 words, yet they made my heart skip a beat. I opened my mouth to argue, but under his burning gaze I inexplicably ran out of air. Buckle up. He looked away, voice cooling back to its usual calm, as if that flash of losing control had been my imagination. The engine purred to life and I sneaked a sidelong glance at Julian. His jawline was clamped tight, his Adam's apple slid once. His left hand stayed on the wheel while his right shot over, unerringly locking around my wrist. I jumped, yet couldn't break free. His thumb brushed the pulse point where my heart hammered like a drum. Stop looking. He spoke suddenly, the barest thread of resigned helplessness in his tone. Focus on your food. Only then did I notice we were parked at the restaurant curb. Julian released me, the side of his face gilded by sunlight as he unclicked his seatbelt, lashes casting tiny broken shadows across his cheek. Fine, I silently withdrew my gaze. Nothing much to look at anyway. Nothing compared to him anyway. I was still sitting in Julian's car, heartbeat ricocheting from that unexpected kiss, when my phone blared. The screen glared 3 huge characters: Derek Sterling. My brother. My hand jerked so hard I nearly flung the phone. Julian flicked a look at me, tone flat, not picking up. I'm picking up. I swallowed, stabbed the answer button with a trembling finger. Hey, big bro? His lazy drawl floated through. Melody, how far have you and Julian gotten? Cough. I almost choked on my own spit. Julian, Derek? I frantically thumped my chest, voice cracking. Bro, what are you babbling about? Nothing's going on between us. 2 beats of silence, then my brother said ominously, oh? Then explain those 100+ flirty voice notes you spammed him last night. I fossilized. Julian tapped the steering wheel twice, the corner of his mouth lifting a micrometer. Bro, how did you even? My voice quavered, HMPH. He gave an icy chuckle. Went drinking with him. Dude stared at his phone the whole night, grinning like a psycho. Julian laughed. I whipped my head toward him. His expression was blank, but the tips of his ears were suspiciously red. And then? I croaked. Then? My brother drawled. Halfway through he suddenly stood up, said, I've got a cake to bake, and ditched me. After that, at fur.m. he messaged asking which boba latte place you like. Melody. Derek's voice went deadly serious. If something is going on, you'd better confess right now. I couldn't breathe. Julian reached over, plucked the phone from my hand and said calmly, let me, wait. Julian, don't. I lunged, but he pinned me with one hand on my forehead. My brother's voice spiked through the speaker. Julian, you 2 are together right now. Julian, yeah. Derek, so? Julian, I'm pursuing her. Me? Derek, 3 seconds of dead air. Then my brother hissed, Julian, you damn well better explain. Julian, unruffled, explain what? Explain why you're suddenly pouncing on my little sister. Not sudden. Julian paused. 5 years. My brain exploded. 5 years? Across the line, Derek went mute. Finally he muttered, fine, Julian, you win, and hung up. I stared at the dead phone, turned to Julian in slow motion. 5 years? He said nothing, just eased the car to the curb and looked at me. Sunlight poured through the window across his profile. His gaze was focused, serene like someone who'd waited for this moment forever. Melody, he said softly, now are you still going to ask on what grounds? I opened my mouth, but no words came, because his eyes told me he'd fallen for me long, long ago, much earlier than I ever imagined. After that day, I avoided Julian for a solid week. No WhatsApp replies, no answering calls, not even the family dinner my brother arranged. Because Julian would definitely show, I chickened out, plain and simple. Truth is, I'd nursed a tiny crush on Julian before. Sure, he's handsome, built, and brilliant, basically flawless except for that glacier personality. But that was exactly the problem. He's too cold. When had I, Melody, ever bowed to any guy? Yet Julian treated me like a spreadsheet. Stray cats on the sidewalk were warmer. Eventually my pride smothered that little spark. Like him. Might as well like a wooden plank, at least the plank won't embarrass me, I told myself, then spun on my heel and pretended I'd never cared. Until that late night flirt hack fiasco, until he said, 5 years. Arg, I'm losing it. I buried my face in a throw pillow and rolled across the tabletop. My phone buzzed again. I peeked. Julian. Free for lunch? I stared at the message for 10 full seconds, typed, deleted, typed, finally answered with one word, no. The other side paused, then, I'm outside your building. I sprang from the chair and darted to the window. Sure enough, that familiar black Mercedes idled at the main doors, Julian leaning against it in a crisp suit, holding another boba latte and a box of strawberry shortcake. My pulse rocketed, my knuckles went white on the curtain. Why was he at my office? Wait, the point is, why is he here again? Another buzz. I see you. I jumped back so fast I almost rammed my desk. When I peeked again, he was staring up, gaze locked exactly on my window. Crap, busted. I sucked in a breath and texted back, shamefaced, I'm swamped, really can't. Julian, Julian, then I'll wait until you're off. Me, what's with this guy? You used to blow me off without a second thought, and now, just because I sent the wrong message, you're chasing me like your life depends on it. I ground my teeth and typed, don't wait. I'm working late tonight. Julian, okay. Julian, I'll keep you company while you work. I lost completely. 5 minutes later I slunk downstairs. The second he spotted me, the corner of Julian's mouth lifted a hair. He pressed a boba latte into my hand. Room temp, half sugar. He even remembers how I take my boba. I grabbed the drink and fought to keep my face stern. Julian, what exactly do you want? He looked down at me, gaze steady. To stop you from hiding from me. I'm not hiding. A week of radio silence, no calls, dodging even your brother's dinner invite. His voice stayed level. That's not hiding, busted. I snapped, mortified, and what about you? You used to ice me out, now you're suddenly all sweet? Julian, are you messing with me? He went quiet, then reached out and gently caught my hand, forcing my eyes to his melody. His voice was low, rough. This isn't sudden. You just never looked my way long enough to notice. My heart lurched. Sunlight dusted his lashes, throwing tiny flecks of shadow. For the first time I realized his eyes could be this soft. Damn it, I think I'm falling again. I chewed the straw and sipped, gloomy. The sweetness was perfect, the temperature perfect. How could he remember every detail? Hey, I hesitated, then blurted, do you seriously like me for 5 whole years? Instead of answering, Julian pulled open the passenger door. Get in. Why? I'm taking you somewhere. I eyed him suspiciously, but his expression gave nothing away. Screw it. I can't dodge him forever, might as well see what stunt he's pulling. I climbed in. Julian circled to the driver's seat and started the engine. Inside the car it was hushed, only the faint whoosh of the AC. I sneaked a glance. His knuckles tightened on the wheel, taut, defined, ridiculously elegant. Even his hands are gorgeous, so unfair. See something you like? He spoke without warning. I whipped my head away. Nope. He chuckled softly and let me off the hook. The car stopped in front of our old high school, Riverside.